Hi folks, thanks for spending some time with me again today. I appreciate that, and I hope that you get something out of this session. There's a lot that I would like to share with you, and this is probably best done one-on-one, but I'm trying to give you some ideas at least of how to practice in ways that are going to help you to make progress very quickly on your instrument. I know it's a frustrating process. I'm a trumpet player, so I do understand that, but let's get to work. So I've been doing this series on the Beast books by Matt Fronke, and this is one in the first book, Taming the Beast, called Instrument Response and Dynamic Control. So he starts you at mezzo piano, and you simply do breath attacks. And many of you already do breath attacks. So I'm going to point out a couple things about breath attacks and how to use them to improve your playing, and also maybe some things that you need to be watching for. But what I like to do is find out where my actual sound is in a comfortable dynamic level first. So I'm going to go ahead and play the first note, which is a G. So that's the basic pattern. It's mezzo piano, piano, pianissimo, triple P, pianissimo. Okay, and most people find that somewhat difficult to do. It is challenging. Part of the problem is we think about it too much. And it's a little bit like target practice. You have to, in the Zen sense, you have to become one with the target. What's the target? The target is the sound that you're producing. Most people think the target is to get your lip to vibrate, right? And because it feels insecure. The main reason why this feels insecure is because we're not ready to release the air. As soon as your lips can feel that you're ready to release the air instantaneously with the right flow energy to support your lips and to support the vibration of that note, your lips are going to start to feel more confident. So this is about building that kind of confidence, not just about getting the result. So don't worry if you get an air ball. Don't worry if you get a sudden, surprise in terms of the response. Don't worry about any of that. It's all information. Just play with it. Now, Mr. Fronke, we haven't met personally, so I don't mean to be so formal because I don't believe that Matt is that kind of person, but if my guess is true, he's probably feeling comfortable that I keep calling him Mr. Fronke. That would be his father. But since we haven't met in person yet, I feel a little constrained to do that out of respect. And his playing is definitely worthy of respect, and so are these books. So how are you going to use him is the question. That's why I'm here. He says, it's my personal choice to keep poo out of my music room because there's a little controversy about whether breath attacks are poo attacks. And Matt says they should be who attacks. And I say they should be both attacks. Do everything you can and see what you can learn from it. So what is a who attack? This is important, and it's a good place to start. So a who attack is when you simply go who, only without vocalizing. So I'm going, and my embouchure is ready to take that air when it starts. But my lips are not touching. A poo attack is when your lips are touching. Now that makes sense if you say who, it doesn't matter how close your lips are, who, oh, then you have a attack, and that won't work because my vocal cords are vibrating. But as soon as my lips touch, if the pharyngeal flap closes off your sinuses, you're going to feel the pressure behind your lip. That's a very useful way to practice too. So we're going to do both. So a who attack, I start with what I call feather tones. I don't know how much of that you could hear, but there was kind of a whispering pitch before it actually started. Yeah, that's pretty soft. And so what you're working for is stay loose. Don't get tight. Don't try too hard. What you're working for is how easy can the response happen. And what you need for consistency in this, for any hope of having your chops and the rest of your system figure this out, is the breath has to be consistent. So how much breath does it take? So I use this technique all the time. So if I sing the note, ah, ah, that's not supported. So a who attack or a feather attack is what you can do with your voice. You're trying to emulate that on the trumpet. Now let's say you get a sound, don't worry about the volume. I'm trying to stroke the vocal cords with the air gently. Now for me that's a reference, because if I let go of the vocal cords, that air is going to fall freely. Or I'm holding it back. When I'm holding it back, I know I'm not playing correctly. I need to continuously let the air fall. In an uncontrolled manner? No, of course not. Evenly, smoothly, with exactly the right, you might say, pouring of the air, so that I have enough energy to cause the lips to vibrate. So you're getting into a direct relationship between your lip and the air. The lip can't make the sound by itself. The air can't make the sound by itself. They have to come into a very good marriage relationship, where each unique part is playing it's doing what it can do best, what only it can do, in order to get the result that's desired. Now, I don't want to get into gender relationships and gender confusion and any of that kind of stuff. That's not for here. That's an interesting discussion, but don't write me about that, okay? What we're worried about here is, am I paying attention? That's to be worried about. Am I paying attention so I can begin to sense what the relationship is? So feather attacks are a great way to do that. So I'll give you a sequence. If I go, so that's maybe mezzo forte. So I'm trying to get more and more power in the voice. I'm trying to keep more and more resonance in the voice as I get softer. So what you'll find is there's a relationship. If I go to play the A, I did that as a poo attack, by the way. You might be able to hear the little pop like that when the lips actually start vibrating. So I'm touching first and then leaning on the embouchure, release the air instantaneously at the right level, and the lips pop open and you get an attack. So you have to experience this for yourself, but it can really help your playing. I got a quick story about breath attacks I have to tell you. Doc Severinsen, hi Doc, you've had a great career and you were an inspiration to me and a whole lot of other people. As you know, Doc's retired from playing now and played until he was 95, I believe. And that's something to strive for. I'm getting close, so I got a few more years to go yet. Doc used to say that he would, I should say, Doc used to be in Milwaukee and he used to go to Gary Radke's shop all the time, GR Mouthpieces, because Gary's located outside of Milwaukee. And Gary and I have worked together for about 25 years. So Doc, when he was in Milwaukee, went out and bugged Gary all the time, and Gary would make mouthpieces for him. And Doc came home one day with a new mouthpiece, and he called back about an hour later and said, this mouthpiece just isn't working. It just isn't working. So Gary said, well, Doc, you got a lot of horns around. So just, take the mouthpiece and do some breath attacks on this horn for a while, and then go pick up another one and do some breath attacks on that. And a couple hours later, Doc calls back and says, man, my chops felt better than they felt in years. Now, that story came directly from Gary. I didn't get it from Doc, so if Doc has a disagreement, I'm sure he'll let me know. But there's something to learn there. That's my point. It's like when your chops don't feel good, don't just keep pounding away. You're looking for the easiest response you can get. And especially you folks who are, commercial lead players or principal trumpet in the orchestra, or if you're playing in a funk band or a salsa band, there's a lot of high energy playing that you have to do. If you're playing in a brass band, for example, you'll have the horn on your face for a long time. That takes a different kind of energy. You got to maintain the freedom of vibration. That's what these exercises are for. So sorry for the extra story there. That's what you get when you deal with old people. But I'm going to get back into this and demonstrate some stuff for you now. So I did the P attack. I'm going to do that again. Oop, air ball. That's because I was squeezing too tightly with my lips. I felt insecure, my throat closed a little bit, everything was out of balance. This is what you need to be doing. Don't worry about whether you make a mistake or not. Don't try and be perfect. You're trying to find ideal. You're trying to find the ideal. Okay, different ways to practice these. I like to start with the breath flow. That's a feather attack. So I'm going, ah. So if the trumpet weren't on my face and my lips were not touching lightly, the air would move like very fast. I get rid of all the air in 3 or 4 seconds. So if I'm holding the air back, that I'm not releasing that energy that my lips need to vibrate. You need to taste this. And if you work on it as hard as I have, you're going to get better. You're definitely going to get better. This is a great exercise. You can do it anytime. You can do it when you're warming up. You can do it when you're feeling a little puffy, but you have to concentrate on less on your lips and more on the air. Let your lips figure it out, be consistent with the air. Now, a good way you can get into this if you have trouble with it is play it at a higher dynamic and then diminuendo. So instead of starting at mezzo piano, start at whatever's comfortable. A full mezzo forte. So there's your air ball. I'm squeezing with my lips. So you're seeing how soft you can play before you release the note. Diminuendo niente, down to nothing. And see if you can sustain the note there. That's a great exercise for your chops. But again, if you feel your throat tightening up, maybe the pressure's starting to come on a little bit, you feel the muscles of your lips trying to tighten down and find the air, you're out of balance. So as soon as you feel the tension, release, take a couple of good breaths, get that expansion going again, and then get back into it. Now, there are many ways to practice this. I've talked about the basics. I'll give you a couple more that are different. One is, when am I going to breathe? So I'm going to play the next one without breathing in between. So this is really important for me. I have to keep everything ready for the response, the air ready to immediately be released very freely, very smooth, very easy. My chops poised, but not locked, right? The horn, my body in the same position, but not rigid, not frozen. Why? Because I'm not going to breathe on the rest. I'm not going to loosen up. I'm going to stay poised and ready for the next response. This is hard. I haven't tried this for a while. Let's see if I can do it. That wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. I feel myself getting tight in my chest. It has to be only release and follow through. That's it. If you can start to feel these things, you can start to improve them. Let's see. That's not natural, but that's harder. So if you have trouble doing that, if it makes you tight, don't do it. Stay loose. That's my motto. Stay loose. Stay loose. Okay. What else? Oh, you can breathe on every wrist. But don't overbreathe. So you can start full and breathe back to full. Or you can start in the middle and take a little bit of more air in every time. Experiment with it. But this is a matter of timing. So I can experiment, as you saw me do, taking the mouthpiece off, leaving it on. See, there's all kinds of things you can do. If I leave it on, that's one feeling. If I take it off, then I basically have to reform my embouchure to be ready for that air every single time. And that's a great exercise. Another quick story, and then I'll let you go. Danny Katzen, who was the second horn player in the BSO for many years, he was in the orchestra when I joined. And he used to do this funny thing where he would be on and off his face and play. Because, and I think I mentioned this in another video, when we play a sleigh ride in the pops, you know, the horns through most of the piece are going da, 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 so they're playing offbeats. You know, that's a typical horn job to do. Sorry about that, guys. And he would go da, 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 da. So he'd practice that. I can't show you that because I haven't practiced it, but it's probably something that I should do. What that means is you stay poised, and that light touch of the mouthpiece on your lips oh, that's hard. Yeah, Danny, I need to practice that. It was really amazing. And you realize this is French horn. This requires a lot of precision, even a little more than the trumpet. So that's something you can experiment with. Don't drive yourself crazy. Lastly, don't think it has to be perfect all the time. And what do I mean? Well, orchestral players tend to think, the sound has to have focus, resonance. It has to have definition. In other words, the outside of the shape, you know, the outside of the sound has, it doesn't diffuse. Oh, but jazz players a lot of times diffuse the sound on purpose. Why? Because it sounds cool. So, see, now I'm getting kind of an airy sound. So I'm playing around with like diffuse, focus, diffuse, focus. And this is an ear play because I have to listen for that. I have to listen for the sound in the room. You can probably hear I am blessed to have a nice recording and performance space. My wife does a lot of recording with people in here, and I teach in here. And you can hear it's a larger sounding room. So the problem with trying to make it focused, which most classical players are trying to do most of the time, is it tends to make you tight. And some of you know, you don't get focused by tightening, you get it by relaxing, letting the lip vibrate as freely as possible. So I hope when you work on these exercises that you'll get some benefit by exploring. This is what I'm trying to encourage you to do. and that you'll enjoy that process. But do also give yourself constraints. You know, do things in time. Expect the note to respond at a certain time, for example. Do things where you're poised for long periods of time, and then making that delicate entrance. This is training you for the conductor who will go. And you never know exactly when the note is supposed to be. You have to be poised all the time. All this kind of exercise can really, really help you to be ready to play at any moment. Okay, again, that's plenty of food. Go digest it and then put it into practice. I'll see you in the next session. Have a great day. Bye-bye.